All righty. Well, let's get into it then. This week, for our coin toss, we have decided to talk about the head coaching vacancies that are no longer vacancies. We have 5 teams with a new head coach, and we're going to talk about them. And so I'm going to start because we've kind of divvied it up amongst the four of us with the coach. So I got Gerard Mayo, and that is the way you pronounce it. I had to look it up to make sure. Gerard Mayo is the correct. Gerard is the correct pronunciation of his name. And you're asking yourself, well, who is Gerard Mayo? Well, Gerard Mayo attended the University of Tennessee from 2004 to 2007, where he played linebacker and was drafted 10th overall in 2008 by the New England Patriots. Played 8 seasons, all with the Patriots. 2-time Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champ. He wasn't hired by New England until 2019. I guess he left football for a little bit after his 2015 season. 2019, he was hired as the inside linebackers coach, came back to New England, was just coached on the defense for the last few years. He does become, this is kind of an interesting thing, he is now the youngest head coach. He passes Sean McVay. He is 37 years old, so he is now officially the youngest head coach in the NFL. So good for you, Mr. Gerard Mayo. The biggest thing, I think, with this particular site, you brought a guy in-house, a guy who's played his whole career and coached here. He knows the culture, and I think that's the thing is he's going to start a new one. I guess we all know Belichick left, and it's up to Gerard to kind of bring them from the rise, like a phoenix, rise from the ashes here, because we all know how bad of a year New England had. And, the quarterback play just hasn't been there. Because, I mean, he's inheriting a top 15 defense. They went from 11 to 15, though, in the last year. And a lot of the reason was because their offense just couldn't do anything. The opposition had a starting field position of the 32-yard line, like an average of the 32-yard line. So the defense was always on their heels. They were always pushed back. In comparison, they always started on like the 24. So their average was 24 something, and they gave up. They were always the other opposition was always on the 32 starting. So that really did. Defense played a lot, but I mean, like I said, he inherits a great defense that's anchored obviously by Christian Barmore on the line, Anthony Jennings also on that defensive line. Christian Gonzalez was hurt in week 4, so he gets him back for this year. He should be back from injury. Jonathan Jones is another corner in the safeties, Jabril Peppers and Kyle Duggar. So he's inheriting a good defense. We all know that New England needs offense. And, of course, we all know New England has the 3rd pick. So you got to imagine they're getting a quarterback. I mean, their biggest needs are probably quarterback, receiver, and offensive line. So with your defense, kind of pretty, again, a top 10 to 15 defense is not bad in the NFL, especially when you're returning a lot of your starters from the year before. So, I mean, the biggest thing, okay, Handy, you find, okay, very good. Given their quarterback, the coffee preference, you're hilarious. This guy, folks, what are we going to do with this guy?
I'll be here all show.
I know you will. Tip the waitress. Try the veal. But I mean, but seriously, and I think, this is the thing about this. I really think this could be good because I think New England needed to start over. Like with a new coach, with a new, just the whole thing, an overhaul of what was going on before. It just wasn't working. Belichick needed to go. You're bringing a guy again who's been in New England. He knows the fan base. He knows all of that. He's been with the team for, the last 4 years. So I think this is a great hire for New England. And again, you got the 3 pick. And also, I didn't realize this. I had to look this up. They're actually 3rd in terms of cap space. They have $68.4 million that they could spend. So not only can they draft well here with the 3rd pick and a couple of others, but they got $68 million to play with in the free agent market. So I really feel like he's in a good position to take over this team, to get them in a position to win more than 3 games this year or this upcoming season. So, yeah, I really like the signing of Gerard Mayo, and I really hope that, again, I don't like to hate on anybody. I know New England was always the evil empire when it was Belichick and Brady, but, it's a new era there in New England, so thank you, Tina. So, again, Gerard Mayo is your new coach of the New England Patriots, and I wish him the best. Good luck for Gerard Mayo. So let's move on. We have other coaches. So, Delilah, we will go to you next, and you have Brian Canales, who, right? Did I say Brian? Brian, right? That's correct? Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure I get his name. Dave Canales. See what I mean? In my mind. Dave Canales got hired by Carolina. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about that, Delilah. David, Carolina. Sorry, Dave Canales.
All right, so let's talk about these. I think Tampa fans are probably a little sad to see him go because he was there for a season. Kind of started at the same time as Mayfield, and some people see him as one of the reasons why Mayfield looks so good. Not just because Mayfield did turn out, but also they feel like Dave Canales' leadership was obviously well founded, and he was able to give schemes that Mayfield play with, right? Like
Yeah.
actually play to the quarterback, right? We always talk about that, right? Coaches find their weaknesses and then try to either find ways around it or how to minimize them and maximize their strengths, right? And so that's
Yeah.
when he started. Look, they made playoffs, so I could see one reason why he looked really tempting. He's also 42, so he's a young head coach, and it seems like a lot of owners, a lot of leagues leaning more towards the younger guys. I'm thinking it's because we move in a more modern direction when it comes to the NFL player, right? We've always talked about it here, and so sometimes that takes different thinking. Anyone like outside of Reed, right? He's the outlier,
Yeah.
but in general, most teams
Yeah.
are looking at younger coaches with that type of mindset, right? And it's not like they're
Yeah.
coming with experience. Like before he came to Tampa, he was learning under Pete Carroll. I think people forget he came from Seattle. And so, so he spent like many seasons, almost a decade. He also knows Pete from California. They were at the same college together when Pete was the coach for the Trojans. And
USC,
so,
baby.
yeah, so they had, so he learned from a really well-rounded coach, in my opinion, right? Like, I don't care what people say about Pete. He did take Seattle to the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
And so I think that's pretty impressive. And like, that's basically what David Tepper said, because, he was interviewed. And so this is what David Tepper said. Dave's background is rooted in success. He has an innovative mindset and positive energy that connects well with players and staff. We are impressed with his ability to bring out the best in players. So I guess they really did see that part. Remember, they have a young quarterback in Bryce Young, right, that they drafted last year. And we have all the Panthers picks because of that. No, not all of them, but
Yeah. Not all of it. We robbed them. We got them pretty good, right? We got them.
So it makes sense. And they have other young players on the team. So I think that they finally are, the owner probably finally realized, the mistakes that he kind of was making and is trying to make a difference and change that around and get the right people. Dave Canales is also currently, because Ron, doesn't have a head coaching position at the moment, is the only Hispanic head coach in the NFL currently. One of those tidbits. He's also just the fifth Hispanic head coach hired in NFL history.
Okay.
Me and diversity, so I had to throw that little tidbit in there.
100%.
So, but yeah, I wish him the best. I think it's smart of the Panthers to go in this direction, and hopefully, like, he can create some positive growth for the Panthers, especially given that they're gonna have to make use with lower round picks and maybe do some trades and stuff to kind of build a team around Bryce Young. So,
Yeah.
good hire. I think solid.
Yeah. No, again, like you said, Delilah, they're skewing younger. A lot of guys are getting opportunities. These younger guys are getting opportunities to be head coaches now. And I don't think that's an accident. I think, like you said, the NFL is skewing towards kind of that, this is a newer NFL, right? This is not your old NFL. This is the offensive age of the NFL and all that good stuff. And yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what he does there. Good luck to him in Carolina. Mr. Handy.
Sorry, yes,
As we all know, your Falcons got their wish. Well, you got your wish, and Arthur Smith was fired, and he was replaced by Mr. Raheem Morris. Why don't you give us a little bit on that, Mr. Handy, and your Atlanta Falcons?
Yeah, well, Ray J had one wish, and I guess he got his wish, but he didn't get to keep his wish. Now his wish has a TV show with all her sisters and her mama and her whatever. Anyway,
wow. Okay.
I got my one wish this year, and that was for Arthur. I hope it was a good one. I hope I didn't waste it. And Arthur Smith got fired. Oh man, Steelers fans, I'm so sorry. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it now, y'all. I'm so sorry that y'all got that man. I hope he does right by y'all, Coach Tomlin. You know what? I think is Tomlin in charge of the coaching hires, or is the general manager in charge of the coaching hires?
Well, he said that Art Rooney will be in on interviews, but he said it is Tomlin's decision to hire coaches. That's what the head coach does, hires his coordinator. So Rooney will be in on the interviews, but it is the decision of Mike Tomlin.
Okay. Well, that right there tells me that Mike Tomlin is ready to retire and get out of Pittsburgh because he hired Arthur Smith as his coordinator. He's like, this might be the year. Yeah, look, no losing seasons. This might be the year, Coach. I'm just telling you. Did you not see? Who else was you interviewing? I mean, wasn't nobody? I would have called Jim Mora. He's still doing commercials with Kevin Hart. Playoffs?
I don't know. Nagy's with the Chiefs, and they're in a Super Bowl. It's back to back.
Yeah, but doesn't Andy Reid call plays? Forget Nagy. He sucks.
They gave the
Besides, anything's better than Matt Canada, isn't it? Anyways, go ahead, Andy. I'm sorry.
They gave Nagy a job.
No, I know. Yeah,
just to keep him there, so he can have that on his resume, and somebody else will snatch him up as a head coach again. Anyway, I'm off the beaten path. I liked Raheem Morris. Mm-hmm. He wasn't the greatest coach in the world when he had his. You understand what I'm saying? He wasn't the greatest coach in the world when he had his opportunities to coach. The 2009 season at Tampa Bay, he was 3-13, but then he turned around and took him to a 10-6 record. 2011, the 2011 season, we know that was bad. They went 4-12. And he, at the time when they gave him the interim job in Atlanta was a hot train wreck. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. You had Matt Ryan, you had post Super Bowl Matt Ryan, you had Julio Turf Toe Jones. God bless him, still love him. Doggone good Falcon. He'll be in the Ring of Honor. You had Calvin. I did. I with my whole chest on a Tuesday night. Calvin Ridley. You got Calvin Ridley, who was too busy on DraftKings to study the playlist. I'm just saying that. I'm serious.
Well, it was.
I know. I remember.
That's what the Atlanta roster was. I mean, I was just looking at it, man. You had Todd Gurley, who let me see, Todd. Yeah, Gurley, who already had a major knee injury before he even came out of Georgia, and he was in Los Angeles, and I think he had another knee injury. He never panned out to be what he was going to be. They just gave him the job to have a Georgia boy in Mercedes-Benz Stadium to sell some jerseys and sell some tickets. I mean, I'm looking at this roster right now. It was, it literally is the textbook definition of the Cincinnati Bengals slogan, "Who Dey?" That's exactly what it was. So, they basically just said, "Look, man, I got some 6-year-old ground beef and some 2-year-old buns back there. Make these folks some hamburgers so they don't go hungry." They went 4-7. Then too, he didn't have a whole lot of head coaching experience at that time, because there are a lot of guys that were coordinators that became interim coaches that did not do so well, that are now doing well in the league. I think with the experience and who he's worked with and seeing some of the teams that he's been with, one team comes to mind. They play out in Maryland, not the one in Baltimore, the other one. The one that's got the stadium in Maryland and the headquarters in Virginia, but they call themselves Washington. Sorry, Sean, I had to say it. But he's learned a lot about what not to do. So I think he's ready for this opportunity. I'm excited. I'm just honestly, to tell you the truth, he could be a wet soup sandwich of a coach too. But right now, I'm excited to not have bad haircut Arthur Smith on the sidelines.
Fair enough. Falcons are going to be youngry next season. Is that a mix of young and hungry? Is that what you got there, Ben? I appreciate that.
That's Ben is youngry. Ben is out there in Vegas, and even if he doesn't partake in any illicit substances, you can't walk down the street in Vegas and not catch a contact one way or another. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Even the dudes that stand on the corner and slapping them little placards on their legs, they probably dust them too. Say, "Hey man, you want one of these? Yeah, I'll take one."
Oh man!
Lamar
Odom
blows $52,000 at the Bunny Ranch. All he did was hold a flyer to his face. I don't know. I woke up here. Anyway, I'm sorry. That's all I got.
Oh yeah, Lamar Odom's another subject for another time, way other time.
And that
Tina,
actually came full circle because that was Ray J's one wish.
yeah. I can't. You're hilarious, brother. I can't. Tina, the Titans picked up Brian. I know, like Tina came on. We got to give Tina a minute, just a second to compose herself. She got it. Love you too, Anthony. There you go. Right there you go, Ben. Absolutely, that's hilarious. Yeah. So thank you guys for tuning in. I've seen a few people comment already, so thank you very much. And Tina, we'll move on to you. Brian Callahan gets hired by the Titans. What do you got to say about that?
I heard his name. I was like, why is he familiar? Why is he familiar? And I know he's Bill's son, so I knew that part of it. But then I started looking in and I saw a couple of people that he's bringing in for his OC. And I saw the name Eric Studesville. And I went, I know that name. I know that name really well because he used to be the running backs coach at the Denver Broncos.
There you
I
go.
was pissed when he left
That
and
was-
went somewhere else. So turns out Callahan has a Broncos connection.
Well, there you go.
But
There it
he
is.
started out, he played quarterback at UCLA. And then he had a job that he played at a high school. And then in 2010, he was brought in to be, I gotta look and see. I had that note. Where's my note of what? Offensive assistant to
Okay.
Mr. Josh McDumdum Daniels, who then ended up getting fired that year because he blew chunks. And
Yes.
so Studesville became the interim head coach. And then in 2011, John Fox came in. And so from 2011 to okay. 2015,
Sorry. I just read Ben's comment. Sorry, Tina.
I'm trying to just move on from
I know.
it
I'm
because
sorry.
it's putting me off.
Tommy just sold a million brake pads.
I knew he was celebrating for somebody. Tommy just sold a million brake pads.
Housekeeping you.
I'm sorry, that was hilarious.
Sorry. Oh God. All right, we were already only 21 minutes in, and we've already delved into madness. We're good. This is going to be a great show. I'm sorry, Tina. Whenever you're ready,
Happy
Tina, just
Tuesday,
resume.
people.
Right, we're
I'm
just
going
going
to link back to that because that might be why Callahan made a couple of decisions he made. But anyway,
There you go.
he was with John Fox from 2011 through 2015. He was on
Right.
2 Super Bowl teams as an offensive assistant or the quality coach. Then he moved on. He was the Lions QB in 2016 to 2017. So he worked with Matthew Stafford. In 2018, he went to the Raiders. I'm sure he worked with somebody there, but I honestly don't care. And then in 2019 I knew I'd get a giggle out of that one.
Oh my God. You're
And then
the
from
best.
2019 to 2023, he was the Bengals OC. And so what he's been, so you see, like in there, like when he was at the Broncos, he worked with Tebow and he worked with Peyton Manning. He then worked with Matthew Stafford. He's also worked with Joe Cool at the Bengals and all of that. And as the OC, working all of those. So I personally think this hire is really, really good, especially if the Titans keep going the way that I think they're going to go, which is they're going to play Will Levis.
Levis, yeah.
They're going to
100%.
want a head coach that has a one-on-one connection with a young quarterback like that. It's interesting. I think this might be a good one for them. OC candidates that he's looking at. One is Thad Lewis, who's from Tampa. Is Tampa Bay's quarterback coach, Baker Mayfield. Eric Holtz is the Jags passing game coordinator. Your guy there, Nick. And then
Trevor
I
Lawrence.
also mentioned
Love Trevor.
Trevor Lawrence. And then the one that I hope he actually picks, because I think the Titans might need this, is Eric Studesville, who now is the running backs coach for Miami Dolphins. Derrick Henry's gone. I couldn't pick the running backs on Titans lineup out of the lineup. Like I had no clue who they were.
Yeah.
So Studesville worked his way up through the running backs core at Denver. And I think he was even there when Shanahan was there. And that was the one thing I loved about Denver is Shanahan knew how to develop running backs. He knew how to bring them up young. We called them the stable and just trot them out. Here, you want Clinton Portis? Fine, we'll take Champ Bailey. That kind of thing.
Right, yeah, sure.
But I think he's going to be calling his own plays. He's not going to be. He's going to be working with the OC, and maybe he does have a little bit of that Tommy Callahan idea about like, yeah, let's just go for it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at first I thought I wasn't so sure this one, but then I was like, this guy's kind of interesting. And he's 39, so he's another really young.
There we go.
This happens in the NFL, though. All the teams that are a little lower on the totem pole, they don't want to spend a lot of money. So they try young talent, the OCs, the QB coaches, that kind of stuff, or the DCs, and give them a chance. And so we'll see what they do. So I'll be watching all of these guys. They're all kind of interesting, except for Mayo.
I'm telling you who the Titans need. They need Denzel Washington as Herman Boone. That's who they need. Will you ever quit?
Love that movie.
Are you having fun? No, sir. Zero fun, sir. Right.
You drop a pass, I will break my foot off in your John Brown hind parts. You will run a mile.
Look here, sunshine.
Nice edit.
Yes, Trevor Lawrence, Sunshine.
Sunshine.
That's who grew up to be. Grew up to be Trevor Lawrence. But
oh my God! Yeah, I mean, he does kind of look like him.
No, it's hilarious. As soon as I saw Trevor Lawrence, I was like, "Oh, it's Sunshine." Trevor Titans. Of course, we all know.
A picture of the guy. We have Sunshine on the Broncos. That I gotta send the picture around to you guys. He looks like Sunshine too.
Awesome. I like that. And of course, probably one of the biggest signings in terms of name and stature and all that. Of course. The Los Angeles Chargers, not to be confused with the San Diego Chargers, which Tina thought they were named last week. Just kidding.
Oh, they still are.
I know. I had to give her that one. But Jimmy Harbaugh leaves Michigan after a national championship, guys. And, of course, goes to Los Chargers de Los Angeles. What do we really think of this? This is for anyone. Just what do you guys think of Jim Harbaugh back in the NFL after, 10 years in college, 9 years in college, whatever it was?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of full circle, right? He's back to a team he used to play for.
Yes, that is true. That is true.
Should have been us, but whatever.
Yeah, that should have been us, but whatever. That's definitely another story for another time. But all right, I got it. What do you got? Anybody else? What do you guys think of this Harbaugh hiring?
I'm hard pressed to say that Jim didn't find out that there's some stuff coming down the pipe back in Ann Arbor. Anybody remember Pete Carroll?
Sure, he took off from USC quicker than me at a lunch buffet.
Like
absolutely, that guy
because he was going to be
right. Wait a minute.
He was going to have to play with a team that was going to be so denuded it wouldn't win a title for 10 years.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, I think glad he finally got the national championship and all that. But I think these guys have a pretty good idea because these schools have legal representation. You understand
sure
what I'm saying? I'm not talking about public defender representation.
No,
they got 6 and 7 figure representation. And I think the guy said, "Hey Jim, there's some stuff coming down the pipe. You can stick around and ride it out, or you can get ahead. If I was you, I would go on over to the NFL and make your money because they're gonna strip this. They're going to strip this chicken down to the bone like Thanksgiving Day at the Clumps. For real."
Yep.
And that's how.
Well, I mean, again, and everybody started declaring for the draft after that too. If you notice, like there's like 15, 16 members of that Wolverines team are like, "Yeah, we're not coming back." I mean, some of them were seniors. Don't get me wrong, but the other kids were like, "Yeah, we're not staying either. We're getting out of here."
That happened like in Alabama too, because Saban left and a bunch of them said, "I'm out."
Yeah. Oh God, them 4 and 5 stars started jumping off the bus.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The Washington players were like blindsided when they let.
And then they're leaving too. Some of them are drafting and already entering the transfer portal. So it's like when you lose someone that took you to like multiple conference wins, but whatever, it's like you don't want to go back to being mediocre or giving that or
right.
At least risking that. You know, you're just like,
Now, to be
You know,
honest, I
believe me.
also think Ohio State's going to get hit with this too. So it looks like Michigan wasn't the only one. I think
Well,
they're going to be ratting on
Tennessee
each
got
other.
tapped too.
Yeah, they're all going to start ratting.
Yeah,
on
and
each
the
other.
thing is, like,
Yeah, so it's
I mean, I know
gonna
this is
turn
an
heads.
NFL show, but I keep telling you guys, I'm like,
Yeah.
eventually there's just gonna be 3 conferences, right? Because there's no Pac-12 anymore. Like, that's gone.
No,
Everybody
no.
keep jumping ship to the other conferences. Like,
The only
Big 10,
independent
Big
or
12,
more
and
independent.
ACC, right? That'll be the 3 left.
No,
AC,
the
Big
MAC.
10, Big 12,
The
SEC,
MAC conference
ACC.
is still big.
Well,
and
you know what? The MAC will always be
I don't think
it'll be
that-
the only Mid-America conference. Like it'll be the only
Yeah.
one that's like mid is the
Survive.
MAC. It's true though. The MAC
survive.
will always The MAC will always survive, baby.
Return of the MAC.
Return of the
What?
MAC.
Yeah.
Return
Yeah.
of the MAC. Return of the MAC.
I wonder what happened to the HBCU conference. Did they just become SEC at that point then?
No, the HBC. A lot of the HBCUs are either Division II or Division III schools. Which is
Yeah,
why
most
they
of them are,
operate
right?
separate
Yeah.
So they'll remain
Yeah.
where they're at.
Yeah, because I think
that's
Jackson
like
State was the only one. Wasn't
SWAC,
Jackson State given a
'cause
Division One? Or are they swag?
I think
Yeah,
so. But even then, I think they're FCS, not FBS. Because and then
Okay,
even then in,
gotcha.
in Division One,
Oh, okay.
you got FBS,
Mhm.
BS and then the
which
FCS
is where-
stuff. Yeah.
which is where the big boys run, and then you got FCS, which is where like James Madison came from the FCS and reclassed into FBS this year.
Correct.
So there's two separate portions of Division One. But then when it comes to a lot of the HBCUs, you've got the Mid-East Atlantic Conference, the MEAC, and the SWAC, the Southwest Atlantic
SWAC,
Conference.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like you're overlooking talent. Sweetness came from an HBCU.
Jackson State, baby.
Listen. Let me tell you something. Y'all can't talk about talent that came from HBCU and not mention Uncle Shay Shay.
Right, Savannah State, right?
100%.
You know, I think didn't Jerry Rice come from Mississippi Valley State? Which
right. That's what my favorite part of covering HBCUs is because I get to shout out like the fraternities. And I know that makes me happy.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Right. There he goes, Ed. Get him going. They got him going. There it is.
Sorry.
We're
actually, anyway.
Fun fact. Well, I'm not doing fun fact. It doesn't have anything to do with the NFL.
Sorry, Jim.
But
back to Jim.
But since we talking about, can I throw this last HBCU?
Yes, please.
You can throw whatever you want to throw in there, sir. Go ahead.
I promise I won't tell a joke about the 3 women and the duck again. I just saw that today. It made me laugh.
Okay.
Too Tall Jones on this date. I don't remember when, but on this date, Too Tall Jones became the first #1 draft pick in the NFL, drafted from an HBCU.
Oh.
Sweet.
And then started a successful wrestling career after that. Way to go, Too Tall Jones.
And I think he boxed for a little bit too.
Yeah, he did all kind of stuff. He was just because he was tall. Or as he put it, he was too tall. There you go. And on that note, let's just get out of this segment then because that bad joke was horrible.